Hey everyone, we're Wednesday afternoon, a couple of hours before we start Rosh Hashana, also known as Yom Hadin, which in Hebrew means Judgment Day. And we're going to discuss a couple of things which are, not very well known when it comes to this very mysterious holiday. We're going to discuss the beginning to the end. And there are going to be a lot of things which many of you, Jewish or not, those of you who learned in Jewish day schools or not, we'll have to ask yourselves, because they're things that we've been taught throughout our lives, and we have to check the facts. We have to see where it came from. We have to see what's sourced and what's not sourced, and how this holiday came about to be celebrated the way it's celebrated today. Everything from the blowing of the shofar to the eating of the apple and the honey and the rimon and the pomegranate, and having the Rosh keves, the head of a sheep, on the table, or the rosh dag, or a fish on the table. Where do all these minhagim come from? What does it all mean? And what is really the source of this holiday, Rosh Hashanah? Because again, like I said, I'm going to show you in 1 second, I'm going to discuss it. It's not sourced too much in the Torah. In other words, we don't have too much of information when it comes to this holiday coming out of the Torah itself, which is, we're going to have to ask why that is. We have a lot of stuff to discuss today. We're going to talk about the idea of repentance. In Hebrew, it's called tshuva, coming back. And, tshuva is nice, but the point is, why create a world where evil exists? Why create a world where the potential for evil exists? It's almost like Hashem is like setting us up to fail. We have to eat, and we have to sleep. When we're born, we're not born into a spiritual world. We don't pray and we don't meditate when we're born for at least 5-6 years. All we do is physical stuff, and when we're born, there's not even any communication. So when you're born, you're whining, you're crying, and what do you do when you're born? You eat, you sleep, you go to the bathroom. What else do you do? So for the first couple of years of your life, that's all we do. So what was God thinking, throwing us in this very, very mundane physical world and then demanding us to be on a spiritual level? It's almost we could say it's not fair. So before we start, I want to just bring a couple of points that it's very important to bring up. Number one is, can anyone tell me what the source of Rosh Hashanah, of this day, is in the Torah? Can anyone tell me what it is? Where does it come from? Where do we get it from? Because for those of you who are a little shocked by this, Lisa, how are you? Shalom. Rosh Hashanah, by name, Rosh Hashanah, is not mentioned in the Torah at all whatsoever. No mention of Rosh Hashanah in the Torah, that name. In fact, if we were going to figure out when the new year is for the Jewish people, it's actually not in Tishrei. It's not in this month at all. The new year, quote unquote, is actually in Nisan, is by Pesach. And we see in Pashat Bo, in Pasha, the second Pasha in books of Exodus, it talks, and I think it's in Aliyah, read in the fourth Aliyah, it talks about Chodesh Hazeh Lachem Rosh Chodeshim. This is the first month of the months of the year. And that is the month of Nisan, when we were getting out of Mitzrayim. So the question is, why, one, do we call this month that we're celebrating right now Rosh Hashanah? It should be in Nisan, number one. And number two, where does it come from? Where does this whole idea come from? Okay? Now, could anyone out there tell me, if you're listening, how much you are knowledgeable about the Torah itself? What is mentioned in the Torah? Could anyone out there tell me what's mentioned in the Torah in terms of this holiday? So the only that's mentioned is Yom Tru'ah, the day of sounding of the horn. Yom Zichron Tru'ah, the memory of the sounding of the horn. There's no mention of Rosh Hashanah, or what is also known as this day is Yom Hadin, Judgment Day. There's no mention in the Torah of this Judgment Day issue. So where does it come from? What I'm doing in right now, just you should see, is I'm putting in the link, of course, for the, we're still working on the Rosh Hashanah campaign for the soldiers. It's right there. And I appreciate it when we finish off this, if you can hit that link and join me. So first of all, I want to invite everyone to please share everyone in. I want to welcome everyone here. I wasn't able to say hello to everyone. I saw Gracie here, and I saw Caroline here, Ernest is here, Larry is here, Nicole is here. Welcome everyone. Please feel free to let me know where you're listening in from around the world. Okay, so like we said, Rosh Hashanah is not, the name Rosh Hashanah, New Year, is not sourced in the Torah anywhere. doesn't exist. Yom Adin is not sourced in the Torah anywhere. It doesn't exist. The only thing that's written in the Torah for this day is Yom Tru'ah, the day that we're sounding that Tru'ah. And it's not even, or shofar, when we sound the shofar, I'm not going to blow it now because we're not supposed to blow the shofar on Erev Rosh Hashana. But where does this idea of Judgment Day come from? Where does it come from? And so we have to go back a little bit in history, okay? So there's actually an argument when the world was created. I saw that Gracie, Brooklyn is in the house. Gracie, you said before that the creation of the world. Well, there's actually an argument in Judaism whether the creation of the world was in Nisan, right, which is when Pesach is, or Tishrei. Okay? Nisan, for those who are not Jewish who don't know, the month of Nisan in Judaism is the first month. That is the first month. And then the month of Tishrei is actually is a month afterwards. But according to the years, we do count Tishrei as the first one, Nisan is the seventh one. It's a little bit it's mixed up, right? So how could there be 2 New Years, right? How could you have 2 birthdays? So let's go back for 1 second. We know, Sari, Shana Tova, we know that the world, we saved the world with all that argument is created in Tishrei. Well, not really in Tishrei, in Elul, the month before Tishrei. Gail is in from Baltimore, nice to have you here. And man was created on the first day of Tishrei. Okay, that's very nice and that's wonderful. So you could say, okay, for us, for man, humans, Rosh Hashanah is the first day of reality for us because that's when we were created. The world was created before us, we were created last, and that was the day that man was created. And therefore, for us, it's the first day of our reality. Okay, fine. Why Judgment Day? Well, for those of you who remember the Torah, what happened in the Torah, so on the first day, as soon as Adam and Chava were created, right, we know that they sinned. So who could tell me quickly what their sin was? I'll wait for your answer. Who knows what the sin was of Adam and Chava, of Adam, Christians will call him Eve, it's called Chava in Hebrew. So many people say the sin was that they ate the apple. So number one, there's no Jewish source for that whatsoever. There's no Jewish source for calling that fruit an apple whatsoever, none at all. Okay, they ate from a fruit tree, that's true. The Gemara says it might have been a tamar, it might be a teina. Some say it's an etrog, the special fruit we have on Sukkot. Nobody says it's an apple tree. So maybe because it's red, I don't know where the Christians got it from, but in terms of Torah sources, there's no source that the Adam and Chava ate from a tree that was an apple tree. Okay? We're not going there now. But the sin was that they ate from the tree. Okay? So I want to go forward and I want to discuss this for 1 second, a couple of minutes. And again, feel free, please, to invite people in. Share it out through your Facebook pages. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. Number one, you think that their sin was that they ate from a fruit tree? Well, let's discuss this for 1 second, okay? The story goes the following. They ate from the tree, right? Chava ate from the tree, then she gave it to Adam, and then Adam, then God. It says God came into the Garden of Eden and ruffled the leaves. So the first question to be asked is, as an IDF soldier, we know to walk through areas without making any noise. God is to ruffle the leaves. And what did Adam and Chava do when God ruffled the leaves? They ran and they hid. Okay, horrible. What does God do next? Again, remember, God said if you eat from these trees, you will die. Right? And that doesn't happen right away. So what does God say to them afterwards? Right? God says that it comes, again, it ruffles the leaves. They go to hide, right, get themselves dressed in the leaves. And then God says, Ayeka, where are you? What, God doesn't know where they are? Kadosh Baruch Hu, the creator of the world, doesn't know where Adam and Chava are hiding out? Right? So he does find them. Then he goes over, speaks to Adam and says, Adam, did you eat from the tree that I prohibited you to eat from? And what does Adam do? He blames Chava. He says, she told me, she gave it to me. He goes to Chava and says, Chava, did you eat from the tree that's prohibited you to eat in the Garden of Eden? And Chava said, it was a snake, Nachash. Now God doesn't go to the Nachash. God doesn't say, Nachash, why did you do this? We'll discuss that in a second. Right? Now, the question is, what is God doing? Ruffling the leaves. Where are you? Did you eat? Did you eat? Kadosh Baruch Hu knows all these answers. He knows all these answers. What is this game that he's playing? They did the sin, kill him. Right? You made a promise. You said, if they eat from the tree, they will die. What are these games that God's playing with Adam and Chava? Again, first he ruffles the leaves, then asks where they are. What is this? So, I'm not going to give you the answer just yet, but we're going to discuss one other thing. Okay? Let's talk about the punishments for a second. Adam and Chava are punished. They're kicked out of Gan Eden, right? It says by Adam, you're going to have to work, you're going to have to sweat, and you're going to have to work the fields and whatnot to eat bread. Right? You're going to work the fields, and when you don't have rain, you're going to cry, and it's going to be suffering. Right? It says to Chava, you're going to have childbearing pains and whatnot. Right? Terrible, terrible punishment. What does the snake get? What does the Nachash get? What does the Nachash get? Well, first of all, right, no more legs. He's got to swivel on the floor, and he will eat dust all his life, right? And there'll be fear between man and the snake or woman and the snake, but his biggest punishment, he'll eat dust all his life. Now, let's think about this for 1 second. Adam has to work by the sweat of his brow, and he's going to plant, and if it rains, and if everything goes great, then he will have food, and if it doesn't, he won't. Chava is going to go through horrific childbearing pain. Terrible, terrible. I mean, I don't know anything about it, obviously, right? But terrible. In Jewish tradition, it says that a woman in childbirth, whatever she asks for, you have to give it to her because she's in a state of life endangerment. And whatever she asks for, you have to give it to her. She's a pikuach nefesh, what we say in Hebrew. Her life is in danger, and therefore, whatever she asks, you have to give it to her. So the punishment for Adam is working horribly hard to get the land. The punishment for the wife is terrible pain. The punishment for the snake is to eat dust. That's it. And remember, the snake had no chance for repentance. Right? And the snake won't be able to speak anymore. Correct. Thank you, Carolyn. Right? So what's going on here? Think about it for a second. Adam's going to have to work for his food. Chava's going to be in pain for her children. And the snake will never be missing a thing again in his life. He's eating dust. There's food wherever he goes. Wherever he slithers, he has food wherever he goes. What kind of punishment is that? It's like a son or a daughter who goes directly against the word of their father. And the father says, from now on, you will be satisfied, or you'll be able to become wealthy with air. Okay? Every time you breathe, you'll become wealthy. What kind of punishment is that? That's a reward. God literally rewarded the snake for being the inciter of evil in this world. Look at the comparison of punishments. Who's worse off? The snake has always what it wants. But the point is, that is exactly the point. In other words, Adam and Chava broke the relationship. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God does not want to kill them. He wants them to work on that relationship. And therefore, you're going to have to work for your food now. You have childbearings. And you know what happens when when Adam works the field and the rain doesn't come down? And his crops might be ruined. What happens then? He turns to Kadosh Baruch Hu and he prays to Kadosh Baruch Hu and says, God, please help me. He builds that relationship back up. When a woman is in childbirth and she's in pain, she's praying, she's building the relationship back up. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not want the relation with the Nachash anymore. He was a Mesit. A Mesit is an inciter, someone who incites sin. So Adam and Chava had a reason to sin, right? The Nachash, the snake, told Chava that if you eat from this tree, you'll be like God. So she had some kind of, logic to go by and say, okay, I'm going to eat this. I know it's a sin, but I'll be better off afterwards. And of course, Adam afterwards, he also had a reason. Well, if my wife and my spouse now is on this level, we have to be equal. So he also had a reason to eat from the tree. What was the reason for the Nachash? What was the reason for the snake? Just evil, pure evil. And therefore, that pure evil has no chance. Kadosh Baruch Hu, God does not want a relationship with him. He gives him what he wants. You're going to eat? All your life, you're going to eat dust. You're never going to have to turn to me ever, ever again. Never going to have to turn to me. All right, but the question has to be asked, wait a second. Kadosh Baruch Hu said that if they eat from the fruit, they will die. So, what's going on here? What is it, being kicked out of Gan Eden? What is that? What is punishment in Judaism? What is punishment in Judaism? So punishment in Judaism is not the end, it's the means to an end. Punishment is a sign, is a symbol. Something's wrong. By the way, it's a Tamim Tiyam Shalokecha and Haisarot Lashem Elokeinu. You're not allowed to say, well, this happened because of that reason, this happened. You can't tell someone else why, the Holocaust happened. Any rabbi who says the Holocaust happened because ABC, run away from that rabbi like fire. Anybody who says the tornadoes happened because of this sin, run away from that rabbi like fire. But at the same time, like we discussed last week, we have to learn from the punishments we're getting. So you have to look inside and say, how can I improve myself? Things happen for a reason, so I have to improve myself, right? So what is this punishment of kicking out of Har Sinai? I want you to listen very carefully. This is an extremely important point. And please, of course, feel free to share this out right now and invite your friends in, because this is extremely, extremely important, talking about Rosh Hashana. When there's a relationship, okay, a relationship is only as strong as its weakest link. And in other words, if someone takes a gun and puts it to, a guy takes a gun and puts it to a girl's head and says, say you love me or I'll shoot you. And the girl says, I love you. There's no relationship there. It was forced. If the guy comes to a woman, says to her, puts a gun and says, marry me or I'll kill you. She says, okay, I'll marry you. There's no relationship there whatsoever. It's forced. None whatsoever. And if a girl loves a guy and she loves him, she's crazy about him, 150%, and the guy is only 10% likes her, there's only a 10% relationship there. In other words, the relationship is only measured by the common emotions towards each other. And how is a relationship measured? Well, it's definitely not measured by what I do for myself. It's measured by the common ground of what you do for the other person. So when a person gets married, right, everyone thinks, the wedding has to be very important. You're great, lovely, but that's not the big thing. 30 years down the line, to feel the emotion that you felt under the chuppah at your wedding day, that is the test. Not the wedding day. Big deal. Your friends are around, you're dancing. Some people get drunk at their weddings. I don't know why. It's one of the most holiest days that you can ever experience. That's no big deal. No big deal at all. The question is what happens 10, 15, 20 years down the line from that time. That's the test of a relationship. Now, if you have a relationship with someone and you know that your spouse likes, I don't know, vanilla ice cream, okay? They like to get flowers. And you never buy them vanilla, you never buy them flowers. Okay? There's something wrong with that relationship because you know what they enjoy and you don't do it. So the relationship is now being tainted. It's being ruined. Now, that's just, doing nothing. But if you actually do something that destroys a relationship, okay? If you do something that destroys a relationship and the other person then is aware of what you're doing to destroy that relationship, then to build that relationship back up, you need to work double hard. You need double the amount. It's not the same thing anymore. Okay? If you have a spouse and you love each other and you lie, you really lie to your spouse, you horribly lie to them, and they find out the relationship is now tainted. Okay? You are now distant from where you were originally. You were here, now you're here, depending how big the lie was or how big the action was, right? Now, in order to get back to this point, okay, you have to work doubly hard. Getting kicked out of Gan Eden was not a smack on the arm, shame on you, I'm punishing you, smacking you. No. Adam and Chava decided to destroy the relationship, to break the promise, right? And the Jewish tradition, that instant, the story of Adam and Chava happened when? On Rosh Hashana. Yom Adin is not just made up. Yom Adin is because Adam and Chava, the story of Adam and Chava happened on Rosh Hashana. And therefore, again, let me just go through it. Those who are studying right now, excuse me, we had Gan Eden, Adam and Chava in Gan Eden. Kadosh Baruch Hu is right there. The relationship is almost complete. Okay? Now, in order for a relationship to be wholesome, you need a choice. Like I said before, you take a gun to put someone's head, say you love me, and say there's no relationship. In order for a relationship to exist, one needs to choose that relationship. A forced relationship is never a real relationship. It's a force. It's force. It's not a relationship. Relationship literally means it's chosen. Therefore, in order to have a relationship, both sides need to choose. So Kadosh Baruch Hu chose us, in terms of man, Adam and Chava, and gave them one job. In other words, think about it. What is the point of two trees in Gan Eden? What is this? What is it? It's like showing a little baby, excuse me, here's some candy. It's the most delicious candy in the world. It'll change your life better. Don't touch it. What's the point? Why? Why do that? Why put trees inside Gan Eden and put that evil inclination in? Literally, look at this. It's the most beautiful. It's stunning. It's gorgeous. Don't touch it. What's the point? The point is a relationship. There has to be some choice by man's side in order to have a relationship with a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, those two trees that were there, they didn't need to be there. God doesn't need those trees in the world. He doesn't need to have, Adam and Chava put a gate around it and say we can't. No, the point is, in order for a relationship to exist, we need the trees there. We need to choose. Okay? Whether it's, somebody getting married and proposing to someone means they have the ability to say yes or no. That is a relationship. So Kadosh Baruch Hu put those two trees inside Gan Eden for one purpose only, to give Adam and Chava a choice of relationship. They broke the relationship. As soon as they break the relationship, they're out of the picture. And now they're outside, and they have to work their way back inside. The kicking out of Gan Eden was not a punishment, I said, like a slap on the hand. No, it was the consequence of breaking that relationship. Okay, and all this happened, I said, at Rosh Hashana, and therefore Yom Adin, Judgment Day. What do we learn? Well, we learn the following. They sinned, okay? What was their sin, by the way? It wasn't eating fruit. Come on, people. Okay, what is eating fruit? What's the big deal if they ate a fruit? The sin is they did not choose the relationship. They chose to break the relationship. The sin is there in the world. The fruit is there in the world. Okay? It's right there. And you have all the reason in the world to eat it. It looks delicious. It looks wonderful. It's beautiful. It smells delicious. All the reason in the world. There's only one reason that you shouldn't touch that fruit. And that's because touching that fruit, or eating that fruit rather, would break the relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So they chose the enjoyment of eating that fruit over the relationship. And therefore they were kicked out. But when a Kadosh Baruch Hu came back in and said, he didn't kill them right away. He said, first he made noise in the garden. Of course God doesn't even noise in the garden. He was giving a chance for Adam and Chava to take responsibility for their actions. They say, "Oi, what did I do? Salachti, please forgive me. How could I do such a terrible thing?" What did they do? They dug their graves deeper, literally, and they went to hide. Instead of realizing, okay, Kadosh Baruch Hu, he can walk through a garden without making noise. Walk through a garden. He can rush, be in a garden without making noise. Right? He's invisible. He doesn't have to make noise. Right? And instead of realizing that, they ran and they hid as if you can hide from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And then a Kadosh Baruch Hu says, "Ayeka, where are you?" What? They don't know where Adam and Chava is. A Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't know where he is. Of course he knows. He's giving a chance. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? A Kadosh Baruch Hu, please forgive me. Terrible. I sinned. Please forgive me. They don't do that. He said, they hide. They say, "Adam, did you eat? Straight out, did you sin? Just say yes." All a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants right now is for you to say, "Yes, I want him to fix my ways." No, it was her fault. And then Chava, it was the snake's fault. When that happened, a Kadosh Baruch Hu realized that the relationship is no longer there by choice of man. And therefore was kicked out of Gan Eden, was kicked out of the house. You're not fulfilling the relationship. You're not fulfilling your side of the bargain. There's no relationship. I can't force you to be here. I can't continue giving you things, even though you broke the relationship. Then there wouldn't be a relationship. It would be just me giving you stuff, and that's it. Therefore, they were kicked out. What's our job on Rosh Hashanah? Our job on Rosh Hashanah is when a Kadosh Baruch Hu says, "Ayeka, where are you?" to say, "We're here. We're here." And we've sinned over the year. And we're here even though we don't deserve to be here. The sun came up this morning. We did nothing for the sun to come up. We slept. Our hearts are beating. Any reason? No reason our hearts are beating. We didn't say keep beating all throughout the night. Right? You wake up in the morning, take a breath. You say, "Thank God we're breathing." If you're not sure, by the way, it's just science. Take a trip to the hospital, okay? Lo Aleinu, take a trip to the oncology ward, take a trip to the cancer ward, and then maybe you'll understand the appreciation you should have for every breath that we take. Maybe. But to wake up, it's a given, it's not a given, number one. But number two, the biggest issue is, "Ayeka, where are you?" We're here, Kadosh Baruch Hu, and we sinned, and it's terrible, and and in Rosh Hashanah, it's not about me saying, "Oh, forgive me, I'm forgiven." No, it's about me realizing who I am, how fragile I am, how great a Kadosh Baruch Hu is, how the relationship is there, and how hungry I am for that relationship, even though I don't deserve it. That's why we're partying, that's why we're eating and everything else, because the relationship is there. The father, the mother, whoever you want to dream of, is there waiting for us to come home. Hashem karov l'chol karav shekru be'emet. Hashem is close to all those who call him real. So we're there in Tisha B'Av. We're calling a Kadosh Baruch Hu for real. So when Hashem says, "Ayeka, where are you?" We're there. We're davening. We're saying we're right here at Kadosh Baruch Hu. And we know we didn't do things we're doing over this past year, but we're hoping for the next year to be better. And we're asking for your compassion and your rachamim. Have pity on us. Pity, literally pity, because we run after these fruits. We run after the fruits. We run after things that are really not important in this world, not relevant to us. And Chazal, Jewish sages say, you want to fight the evil inclination? First, you can take him to the Beit Midrash. Take him to the study hall, and you're learning Torah. Two, say Kriyat Shema. Shema Yisrael Shem HaKadosh Shem Echad. You say that, you hear that God is one. If that doesn't work, think of the day you die. Why? Because if we think of the day I die, the things that we do in this world, right, whether I have an iPhone or Android, or if I'm reading real Uggs or fake Uggs, doesn't make a difference in the day we die. We don't even think about it. Dan, shalom. We don't even think about it. If I said, if you knew we had one day to live, what do you think we'd worried about these mundane, stupid things? We'd really, stay with the family. We do what we can do morally. We spend our time as if life actually matters. And that's what Rosh Hashanah is all about. Rosh Hashanah is all about me saying, stop. Hashem is saying, Ayeka. Will I go and hide? Will I go hide amongst all the fruit of this world and all the fun stuff? And it's okay, by the way, to be wealthy and rich and all that. It's all good. There's nothing wrong with that. What you do with your money is the question, not if you have the money. But the question, what are we going to do? Rosh Hashanah is coming. Yom Hadin is here. Yom Hadin. There's an unbelievable prayer on Yom Hadin, on Rosh Hashanah in Netana Tokef. I just put up a unbelievable, a really, truly unbelievable rendition of Netana Tokef. I'll put up the link right now on the Standing Together site of the IDF head cantor, who's singing Netana Tokef with an unbelievable voice and pictures of the Yom Kippur War. Why is that relevant? Because when we're davening for life and everything's honky-dory in our lives, well, we don't understand just how deep and important those prayers are. But when you know people at war, when you know people who are in the army, when you know people who are in danger, when you know people are sick, when you know people are suffering because they don't have enough money for food on their table, then that prayer becomes serious. That's why in Judaism it says when you pray for someone else, your prayers are answered first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up the link to that prayer right here. I strongly suggest that everybody here watch this link. It's truly amazing to see. It's heart-wrenching, beautiful. Okay? And that's about it, people. I'm going to wish everyone a Shana Tova. First, you have a very spiritual Rosh Hashanah, the Yom Hadin, the Judgment Day, and you should pray, and with tears in your eyes. We should be merit to pray with tears in our eyes to understand the seriousness of this day and the relation that we're trying to build with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and a bracha for the future to come. Everybody who's listening, I want to wish you that you have a happy year filled with happiness, with health, and with success, and wealth, and everything good. And this year be filled with all successes that all endeavors that you have that are good for your life. May you succeed at them. And here it's Ratzon, it's Simcha, a happy year and a joyous year. Okay, I'm signing off. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shana Tova, everyone. Shana Tova U'Metuka, and we'll be back next year. Don't forget to hit the links also for the soldiers below, and you got to watch this video right here that I just put up. It is truly unbelievable. Shana Tova, everyone, and please feel free to share the video out.